Louisiana. Thankfully, nothing for us to be concerned about. Of course, if you got some loved ones or family members that live near I-49, they'll need a heads up of what's headed their way. But this is what we're working with right now. This is the tornado warning that continues until 4 o'clock. And we'll go ahead and get back onto the camera here and get over a little farther to the left and go into this tornado warned storm. Again, this is until 4 p.m. And this includes Sabine and Shelby counties, as well as DeSoto and Sabine parishes. And this is for the broad rotation that we've been watching. Let's go ahead and take off the lightning so we can see that a little bit better. And I honestly think once we get to this next scan, depending on if we get any type of wobble, Brett, we might be able to see this actually move essentially into Louisiana just about. Maybe some far, eastern and southeastern portions of Shelby County still might have some rotation in it. Of course, really anywhere in the polygon you need to respect. East Liberty, Patroon, Drecka, if you live along there or in this area along State Highway 87, you're okay right now. This continues to move off to the northeast at about 40 miles per hour. So Huxley, you're in the polygon. You'll need to stay in your safe spot until we see this rotation clear well to your north and east. And that's not going to happen at least for another 20 to 30 minutes. So you've still got some time where you need to be in your safe spot within your home. Excuse me. And this continues to move off to the north and northeast at about 40 miles per hour. So this essentially takes it into Louisiana by the time we get closer to 3:45, and we just got a new polygon issued for this. So they touched up the southern half of the polygon. We've still got a tornado warning that's in effect until now 4 o'clock still, moving northeast at 40 miles per hour. And National Weather Service, our friend Charlie, saying no reports of damage with these two areas of rotation. Thankfully, also some good news that they haven't produced any TDSs or tornadic debris signatures at this point either. And as a matter of fact, this latest scan, once they updated the warning, Brett, not really looking super impressive at all. Very messy.
Yeah, it's a very messy circulation right now that does not look, and you would imagine as it gets closer to the radar site that perhaps it would be a little more well-defined, but that is certainly not the case. Chandler, widen out and kind of look back toward the Dallas-Fort Worth area, maybe go back to reflectivity. Okay. Just want to point out something. I'm just looking and reading from the National Weather Service office out of Dallas. They are in a conference call with the Storm Prediction Center, and so there's a possibility. There was a discussion of perhaps a new watch up in this area coming, and they're saying that they think the watch box is going to go outside of North Texas. So that would keep, I believe, Van Zant, Rains, Hopkins County, and Lamar County, Delta County, and also Henderson County out of that. So I think it's going to be up in here when the new watch is issued, and that would likely go until about 9 or 10 o'clock tonight. And that should keep East Texas also out of that unless they issue a new watch. But we were not included in the meso discussion or the discussion from the Storm Prediction Center for the new watch. It was areas through Oklahoma up into southern Kansas. That's essentially where the surface low is sort of moving later on today. If the surface low is moving up there, you get closer to what we call the triple point, where you'd have the dry line, the warm front, the cold front, and the low pressure area all kind of intersecting. And so that would be a little bit farther north and out of our area. So that might help to enhance the thunderstorm development up there. But as for right now, we're just looking at these showers and thunderstorms continuing now to get closer and closer to the Louisiana border. And then we'll wait for a reassessment here and continue to look at the data. When Chandler and I looked at the data, this was kind of it. And once this got out of here at about 5 o'clock, there was another area that develops much later tonight that comes in along the cold front, but it was not as powerful as these thunderstorms potentially could have been. And so, yeah, we could have rain and thunder toward midnight 1, 2, 3 a.m., but the severe threat would certainly be lessened by a great degree because this is where all the best dynamics have been today, and they are starting to move into Arkansas and northwestern parts of Louisiana. So that would be good news. And this seems to be the area where there's more energy down here, equal amounts of wind shear, but there's just slightly more energy, deeper moisture. The dew points are also high. They're high all the way up into Tyler, but it just seems to be just a little bit thicker, the air mass down here toward Hemphill, and I think that's what's been supportive of some of these rotating cells over deep East Texas.
Yeah, Brett, and you know what? A little earlier this morning, we had some pieces of computer data that suggested we would see this cluster of thunderstorms throughout parts of deep East Texas. Granted, that particular piece of data was developing these a little later on in the evening, but certainly, it's been an interesting day and an interesting setup so far, at least for where we've had these clusters of thunderstorms develop so far and what we've seen come to fruition as far as our threat level and our threat risk. If you remember a little bit earlier, or if you were watching us a little bit earlier, we were talking about an area that the Storm Prediction Center was also keeping an eye out for along our far eastern counties, places that are pretty much essentially bordering Louisiana as well as Texarkana. This area that I just circled, this is an area that the Storm Prediction Center was keeping an eye out for these clusters of thunderstorms as they moved into them due to the energy and the spin that we had to work with in the atmosphere. Thankfully, though, so far, and we'll knock on some wood here in the Weather Center, that this will continue to stay warning free, because they were worried about this particular cluster as it moved into a more rich environment for thunderstorm development. And it looks like so far is so good, Brett, as far as our northeastern counties, places such as Jefferson, Marshall, Linden, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, and these cells are about halfway through those counties, so we're talking about a matter of minutes until they clear on out. And I was just looking at some other pieces of radar data, and there certainly is there are growing cells northeast of Dallas and Fort Worth, but those are moving into southern parts of Oklahoma. We'd have to keep an eye on any cells that would develop farther south and east of the DFW down toward Corsicana or Terrell, but I don't see anything at this point. And the fact that Storm Prediction Center is basically telling Fort Worth that they think their county watch area will not be included in the next watch would suggest that that's going to be probably Oklahoma City, where that watch is issued, or into the Tulsa county watch areas. All right, so that's the cell right now. It does look like it's tightened just a little bit. Here's Louisiana. This is Texas. This is southeastern parts of Shelby County. Sabine County is no longer included in that tornado warning, nor is San Augustine County. And really, when you look at all of Shelby County, it's just this real tight corner here on the north end of the Toledo Bend, and that continues to move northeastward. So it looks a little more organized, a little bit better. Still no reports of any damage from the National Weather Service in Shreveport. Continues moving northeastward, kind of almost like now it seems to be just kind of riding along the border, so it's taking a little longer to get over into Louisiana. There's Huxley, but Huxley is outside of the box, so I think you're okay. East Liberty certainly okay. San Augustine, Aiken, you're all in the clear right now. So you can, if you were in your shelter waiting for us to give you an all clear, you're fine. Over toward East Hamilton and up toward Pleasant Hill, this area here, they've been talking about the potential for a tighter rotation, and that's on the Louisiana side also. But they're also wondering if that is even making it to the ground, just because the rotation itself might be kind of disguising what's going on inside that cell.
And Brett, I wonder, I was just looking at this latest scan that we had come in on our tornado warning that's now about to cross over into Louisiana. It looks like we almost could have a maybe even a downburst or something like that, because we've seen our greens, which typically move towards the radar, spread out, and now this latest scan is just really falling apart, and we've got a lot of signatures coming away from the radar site, so we might be seeing some wind or some energy being released from the back half of the thunderstorm, and in turn maybe turning it into just some gusty downburst winds instead of something tornadic.
Go back to velocity and loop that, and we'll be able to really see that. You'll be able to see that spread out, and that's
we'll slow it down as well.
Yeah, and sometimes downbursts are tough to predict when they're going to happen, but when they do happen, and then you can see them on radar, you can see them best in a loop. So watch this. So Chandler's playing this out. This will get to the northeast of East Hamilton, that bright pink area.
See how it just falls apart?
Yeah, it just spreads out to the north and to the south. So, yeah, that one may have just, yep, there it is. So probably downburst right in eastern, right there in that bright pink area north of East Hamilton. So there may be some trees down in that area there. And hopefully, and if there's anybody that has like some metal sheeting on a roof or something like that, if it's nearby that downburst, then that could tear it up. You could watch what happens on this next one. That next scan goes up to the southeast of Huxley at weekends, but it's still pretty powerful. I imagine on that next scan, as it crosses over into Louisiana, it'll probably be gone altogether.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah, so that's a great example. That's almost a textbook example of just a downburst. Watch how everything kind of spreads out here, right there. Just the bright greens go towards wall, and that dark red kind of spreads back to the north, and so the winds hit the surface. They have nowhere to go. Look how the green goes that way too. So it's just like on that starburst pattern. It's typically what we see when you see damage from a downburst, you get a starburst pattern. So
yeah,
that's what that looks like on radar for sure.
And damage is damage, and certainly we want to avoid that at all costs. But it's good to know that we don't have a confirmed tornado on the ground with this.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just like reading the National Weather Service from Shreveport, and I think that cell should be. We'll wait and see. They have not canceled that warning yet. When they do cancel the warning, we will go back to regular programming. And then I don't think we'll have any other warnings until we get to closer to 5 o'clock. We'll see what happens with some of the other cells back to the north. But we'll wait and see what the Storm Prediction Center also says about just the rest of our setup for the afternoon, because there's some really great energy that has moved into southwestern Arkansas, northwestern Louisiana, away from us. And we're just ready. Are we ready to go back to regular programming? It looks like that circulation. Okay. All right. So we'll wrap this up. Let's take a broad view of everything. We know we have the severe thunderstorm or tornado warning that's going over onto the Louisiana side. So this will likely be allowed to expire. Rest of the area right now, still tornado watch till 9 o'clock, but look how quiet it is. Thunderstorms are now moving out of Harrison, Marion County, and into northwestern parts of Louisiana. And the Cass County storm will move into southwestern Arkansas here in the next few minutes. All right. Well, we appreciate you watching us here at CBS 19 and allowing you to have us kind of carry you through the afternoon with the severe thunderstorm warnings and the tornado warnings down over deep East Texas. For meteorologist Chandler Jordan, I'm Chief Meteorologist Brett Anthony. Have a great afternoon.